Hey guys, welcome back to Seller Sessions. Today I bring in Karyn Thomas. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Danny. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so honored. This is exciting.
A pleasure. We met Silicon last week. We didn't get a chance to do an interview and stuff, so I wanted to have a chat. Obviously, you were on stage there as well. Do you want to give the audience a little bit of background on yourself and what you was talking about there?
Yes, I would love to. So I spoke about how to increase, in fact, even double your conversion rate with all of your product listings on Amazon. And Danny, I first got started about 4 years ago, finding that I had a gift, I guess you could say, with sales copywriting. And maybe not a gift, but definitely an interest. And so I pursued that. I took several copywriting courses, and I just got better and better. And I tested it with other Amazon sellers to see if I really had something and if they had replicable results as well in their businesses. And they did. And it was really exciting. And so I actually created a course for amazing.com about how to optimize every part of your listing to increase your conversion rate. And, it's been a really popular course, and I've been really honored to, hear from a lot of students that they've seen amazing results in their businesses. And so from there, Matt and Jason have asked me to speak 3 times so far at their awesome events. And yeah, it's been so fun. I've really loved speaking on stage. So it was really cool meeting you there too. I know you're a really big deal, so this is exciting.
I don't know about a big deal, but no, it's great to meet you there as well. So let's talk about copywriting. I mean, off call, what we was talking about, emotion. You spend and invest a lot of time in the emotional side of
Yes.
copywriting. So can we explore a little bit of that?
Yes, I would love to. So, I first came across the idea of selling the emotional why from Simon Sinek. I was watching, a really popular TED Talk that he did, and he talked about, most of the time when we're selling products or services, we start with the what. Like, I'm selling a water bottle, and here's the benefit. And we really dive into a lot of logic, right? But he said the really effective way to sell is to start with the emotional why. Everybody is driven by emotions, whether we want to admit it or not. We all have an emotional brain, and that's where we really can convince people and persuade them to do what we want them to do. And, from there, it's just been a growing process, but I found that I like to call it the why sandwich. So when I'm writing sales copy, I always want to start with the why. I want to get into the customer's head and speak exactly to the emotional reason of why they want to buy the product. And then I focus how that product accomplishes the why. And then I say what the product is. And then again, I end with why they want to buy it.
Excellent. So can you give me some examples? Obviously not client examples, but is there anything there, to break down your whys? You've gone like macro with it. I mean, if you were digging into a listing and you're looking at the titles and looking at bullet points,
Yes.
can you work on some whys for me?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, one example that I share is like, let's say you have a really awesome skincare product, right? It's a very popular category in Amazon. And, the obvious benefit is, you sell, it has this special natural ingredient and it's going to help you have healthy skin, right? But the obvious why is not always the emotional why. It's actually going deeper. And the real reason people want to buy this special skincare product is because they want to look younger so they get more attention, right? So that they look better than their friends, and their friends say, wow, how are you looking so good? What's your secret? And then all of a sudden you have more of a higher status, right? And I know it sounds kind of egoic, and it is, but we all have an ego and we all want to increase our status in some way. And that's why we do everything we do, is we want to look better to the people that we respect.
Yeah. So hence why there's filters on phones and stuff as well. But
Yes.
we won't get into that today.
Yes.
So we're talking about we mentioned also we're talking about the difference between logic and an emotion. And I said I have to correct myself quite a lot. I'm surrounded in my family, in my household, I'm surrounded by women. And sometimes my logic just doesn't work. And then I have to correct myself and go, actually, you can't deal with this situation just based on logic. You have to work with emotions as well. So therefore, I have to adjust I have to put my separate hat on. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
And go, like, this is an emotional conversation. This is a logical conversation. We shouldn't be blending these two together, or it causes warfare, you know? So,
yes.
So
that's a smart man right there.
Well, I don't know. It's years of learning the hard way.
Yeah. Trial and error, right? And you're like, okay, I'm not
trial and error. Yeah.
Yes.
So talk to me more. Like, I want to dig deeper more into the emotion, because obviously there's a difference between a male copywriter and a female copywriter. And like you said, we're dealing with emotions. I don't want to just put it out there as a macro to say, oh, women are just emotional and men just logical. That's not what I'm trying to say. It's trying to, like, how do you get it across for both parties? So for you, writing copy for, let's say, female grooming products and then male grooming products, is there a different approach for you?
You know, I've done a lot of tests, and I found that it's almost just as emotional for men as it is for women. You know, we like to think, and women are more emotional, I grant you that. But at the end of the day, everybody is driven by emotions. We all have a logical mind and we have an emotional mind. And the emotional mind is where we're really persuaded, right? It's why all the great speakers and salespeople always try to lead with emotional stories and with great examples. And yeah, there's absolutely a place for logic, but you start with the emotion and then you back up your claims and your why with really great logic and facts and credible sources. And then you can really, you know, speak to a man, right? But you start with emotions and you're going to convince them sooner. Yeah.
So I suppose as well, we're talking on and it doesn't have to be on a negative context, is that with a man, maybe there's the addressing the ego to make them feel better. So they're stroking their ego. So women are based on emotion. And then say from a male point of view, you're stroking the ego. It's like, if you drink this supplement, you might, you know, increase your muscle mass by X, Y, Z. Or if you're like me, and you're almost going bald, then you're going to end up getting this stuff. Your hair will grow back. Not that I'll try that stuff, but that's what you're pandering to. It's like, hey, use this product here, and then your hair might grow back. So it's not like the product that you're using there is the bit that you're concerned about. It's about what it does and what emotions it brings out in you. And if you've got an issue where you're self-conscious and your ego's stepping in about, you know, you're going balding and receded. I just put a cap on or just shave it off. It doesn't bother me. But there are people out there that are concerned about that. And I'm sure for a lady, that's devastating compared to a guy. Yes. Does that make sense? So
100%. You know, I also love Russell Brunson, the owner of ClickFunnels. You know, he taught it this way, where everybody is motivated to increase one of three areas in their life, either wealth, relationship, or their health. And, you know, it's interesting because we sell a product, let's say it's a wallet, and we want to think, right, that we're going to help all three areas of someone's life, and we want to touch on every part, right? But what he says, and I agree with this, is you want to focus on the biggest area of their life, and you speak directly to that. So an example you shared of, like, let's say it's Rogaine or another supplement to help hair regrowth. You want to focus on the biggest reason that they want that. And that, to me, would definitely be relationships, right? So, you know, you're obviously happily married, you're a great dad, but I mean, if you were single, obviously you would definitely want to attract women, and it's the relationship, right? And you'd probably be more invested to look a certain way, or you know what I mean? So
I think that's true of most people, that if they're, you know, unless they enjoy their like being in solitude and on their own, or, you know, and they enjoy solitude, but enjoy being single. But no, I do understand what you mean, is that suddenly people, for a better word of it, they're back on the market, aren't they? So they want their best foot forward. Because in a relationship, it's very easy to let those things slide and not try, but not put in the same level of effort as before. So I can see for people like that, it's going to be more impressionable for them.
Yes. Versus like you right now, you're at a very like secure place in your life. So you're probably more focused on, you know, your health or your wealth areas and like increasing those. So if I was selling to someone like you, I'd want to focus more on, you know, if it's something like a hair product, maybe it's your health, maybe, you know, having a fuller head of hair makes you live longer, whatever the case may be. But you see how you're selling it a different way depending on who you're talking to. Just like you said with your wife, you're talking to her different than you would talk to your
Yeah,
best
I mean,
friend.
at this stage in my life, I put health as my number one thing. I have like health issues with my gut and stuff, and it's caused a lot of downtime, over the years and stuff. And I don't want to really speak too much on it, but it's been a bit of a struggle. So one of the key things I do focus on, like if you've got my attention, it would be about health, because for me, it doesn't matter how much money you've got.
Right.
If you haven't got your health fixed. So for me, that would be my touch point. If you came to me with an emotional trigger and you said, I can guarantee 100% of your health by doing X, Y, and Z, then you've got my attention. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
But you've got to speak to that said person.
Well said. That's a great example.
So talk to me about how, we're talking about the whys, the wheres, the macro element. Talk to me about emotional trigger words and stuff like. Give me some examples you would put into play.
So I would say something to the effect of, find me a clean deodorant that fights bad odors and sweat without causing irritation to your skin.
Cool.
That's a little bit long, so I'd want to like condense that and maybe break that up into a couple different bullet point ideas.
Yeah.
But the key is to really focus on, what's the touch point? Why do they really want a natural deodorant? And so I would research that a little bit more of what the harms are to all of the crazy metals and additives that are in traditional deodorants, and see what kind of damage that does to people. And then, talk about the opposite and really speak directly to the why, so that they know they're in the right spot when they look over your sales copy.
Cool. And do you with this in mind as well, do you focus the same level of efforts on keywords as well within, say, that being in the title? Would you look to pack in there with keywords as well, or is it purely that you're focused in and around the emotion first and keywords are second, because they're more like acting towards the technology of the site more so than and the searcher's intent rather than the emotion? Is there a balance there? Because I've seen people, they have, they create these like crazy long titles. I know Amazon's introducing new restrictions to titles. Some of them is capped as low as 50 characters as of 22nd of July. I mean, it depends. That is going to dependent on your category. But I think what I'm trying to say is that what is your percentage of from emotion, and if for a better word is the logic, in terms of having search terms for people can find, and obviously the ranking for the listing?
Yeah, I really like to have a keyword rich sales copy throughout, at least 1 to 2 different keywords for every bullet point, so that I can really make sure I can build up the relevancy of each. So yeah, I definitely like to use a good amount of keywords for sure.
Yeah. Cool. And so what other elements do you find important in terms of what you do in terms of putting copy together? So we've covered the whys, we've covered the emotion. Is there what others? Give me a couple of other key points that is important to get a well-rounded listing that is effective in terms of tapping into the emotional psyche.
Yeah, so I usually always like to talk about a guarantee, and I like to say something a little bit more unique and witty than just, enjoy our 100% satisfaction guarantee, right? Because that's kind of expected. That's what almost everybody says. So what can I say that's going to make them stop and be like, oh, wow, this is a unique guarantee. This has caught my interest. This is a clever company. This is somebody that's taking their business serious. So I think that is important to talk about. And then almost always I like to talk about using your product as a gift. I think that is, almost every single product I've worked on can be used as a gift. And I know for me, like I do almost all of my shopping on Amazon, just way easier to find unique and cool gift ideas rather than like searching through Walmart, right? So I think that's super important. And then also I think using the space of your enhanced brand content. If you have brand registry, like that is absolutely, I think, an underutilized area of a listing that people just aren't taking advantage of. So you can pack in so much good information there with not only your sales copy, but with your images, and really making it interesting to look at and have lists of you know, everything that's included with your product and, you know, all the cool geeky logic stuff that we like, right? And then also, yeah, just really talking about the benefits and what makes your product stand apart, and also your brand story, right? Like, how did you come up with your product? What makes your product unique? What makes your brand special? I think that really gives your brand more of a personality and a culture that people are willing to pay a little bit more for a company that has, they're a little bit more well thought out than just a Me Too product and, you know, here's this product from China.
Yes. So basically is cultivating that brand story, getting that across in the copy. So when you're working with EBC as well, what's your take? Do you do like long pages, or is it longer pages that are based around the complexity and of the product? Do you ever do stuff that is more mechanical, if you like? So there's moving parts, so you have to get across the complexity of how to use it. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I tend to use as much space as I can for the enhanced brand content. And yeah, definitely, if it's a more technical product, then I'd love to get into more of the specifications and, you know, all of the specific lingo that I know techie people want to read and really geek out about. But yeah, if it's something more general, but it just requires a lot more images and a lot more, you know, interesting benefits, then yeah, it doesn't need to be so techy. It can just be a couple of things like, here's the dimensions, here's the weight, and the rest is just emotion and, you know, benefits. So yeah, it definitely depends on what kind of product you're selling, but I like to use as much space as I can. I think if you have the space and, you know, use the real estate and really pack it in with great rich multimedia of images and sales copy.
Sounds good. Cool. Is there anything you want to add just before we go?
I will say I think a great resource to really dig in deep to your customers' why is buzzsumo.com.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a really good resource that you can just search in a keyword like you use that example of natural deodorant, and just start looking through really popular content so you can kind of get an idea of what ideas are sticky, what people are really, I like to call it traveling with, or it's really making sense to them. And you can tell by how popular the article is, how many links, how many shares, and then you know you have something, and you know you can use some of that similar language or feel in your own sales copy.
Yeah, makes sense. And what's the best way of reaching you?
Yeah, so you can go ahead and just email me if you have questions at Karyn@privatelabelprofit.com.
Excellent. And Facebook, is there anything else like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on Facebook. My name is Karyn Meredy Thomas.
Yep.
It's kind of an interesting name. It's different spelling. It's Karyn.
Yep.
Middle name Meredy, Maridee, and then Thomas.
Excellent. Karyn, thank you for joining us today. I'm sure we'll get you back soon. Guys, thank you for joining us. If this is your first time, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you again in the next few days. Take care.